Now, remember this miscreant throwing rocks at the vehicles of federal officers? Well, there is a happy development in this story.
You're under arrest for assaulting federal agents.
Joining me now is documentary filmmaker and commentator Ami Horowitz. Ami, Elpidio Reyna, I think I've pronounced his name right, he fled to Mexico in June after allegedly injuring a federal officer and damaging vehicles, and he was arrested at the US-Mexico border earlier today.
Yeah, frankly, I wish he stayed in Mexico, but a second best is having him rot in jail, despite the fact that it costs us probably $30,000 a year to incarcerate this animal. Look, Rita, as you know, I was at the LA riots. I covered the LA riots. And more importantly, we also have the media covered these riots, right? These are peaceful demonstrations. They simply want due process. Baloney, okay? I was there. I asked the questions. Not a single person there would condemn the violence that went on. Why? Because they support it. The violence is not a bug. It's a feature, Rita. We have to see that. This guy is a hero to the left because the left has always and continue to lionize violence. Louis Mangione's a more recent example of that. And Rita, I also want to say that I was looking prior to coming on and seeing who covered his arrest. Let me tell you, CNN didn't cover it. MSNBC didn't cover it. The New York Times didn't cover his arrest. Why? Because it highlights the fact that there were violent people at these quote-unquote protests, and they didn't want to highlight that because they were trying to sweep that all under the rug. I'm glad he's in jail. I hope he rotted there for years.
Now, more good news. The New York Post reports the Trump administration has won unprecedented concessions from Columbia University in a sweeping settlement with the Ivy League university paying more than $220 million and also pledging to reverse racially discriminatory practice. Columbia is also pledging to resolve civil rights violations against Jewish students. We've seen all the scenes of violence on university campuses, including at Columbia. Ami, this is huge. $220 million settlement. It's going to send a strong message.
Yeah, look, it's not nothing. That's for sure. Columbia University has a nearly $15 billion endowment, which is larger than 120 countries' foreign currency reserves. Will it break them? No. Will it make them think twice before they allow Jews to be harassed on campus? Yeah, I think it will. Look, these people want the Jewish Studies Department to be part of the History Department. That's their goal. Let's make no mistake about it. And what will change their behavior, Rita? It's money, okay? That's what the world goes round, and that's what makes these universities and their fat cat administrators roll in the money and allow them to hire all the DEI people that they have. This money, the money does change behavior. Look, Columbia University, their donations are down 30% over the last 2 years. And by the way, if a single Jewish donor gives any of these universities acting the way they are a single dollar, they should be ashamed of themselves. Look, I think it will have an effect. There have been sweeping changes that the Trump administration forced them to do, not just the money. They had to force to change their hiring practices, the way they discipline people. Will it stick? I don't know. Time will tell. But I'll tell you this, it's a massive win for the president. I think it's a massive win for decorum on university campuses across the country.
Sticking with that more huge news, the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, has referred Barack Obama to the FBI and DOJ for prosecution.
Any of this new information implicates former President Obama in criminal behavior?
We have referred and will continue to refer all of these documents to the Department of Justice and the FBI to investigate the criminal implications of this.
For even former President Obama?
Correct. The evidence that we have found and that we have released directly point to President Obama leading the manufacturing of this intelligence assessment. There are multiple pieces of evidence and intelligence that confirm that fact.
Army, am I overcooking things? She's referring it. She says the evidence is clear. Are we going to see a former president? We've seen it already, I guess, with Donald Trump, but are we going to see a former president under investigation, facing charges and proving that no one is above the law?
Look, Rita, two things can be true at once, right? There's no question that the Obama administration was looking for a rationale to tie Trump with the Russians. Obviously, spectacularly failed at that. And there's no question that they had illegal FISA warrants that were tapping people illegally. There's no question that they used the fake Steele dossier as a basis for all this behavior. Having said that, not a fan of this. I got to be honest. Look, it comes across, first of all, as petulant. And also, these things tend to boomerang around back to you. I mean, just ask the Democrats. Democrats were trying to file charges, specious charges against Trump, and now we're doing it to them. So I don't think this is helpful for our public, to be totally honest. And whether or not he'll be facing charges, look, Trump v. United States, Supreme Court decision last year, gave wide-ranging immunity to the president, not just President Trump, but all presidents. So no, I actually don't think any charges will be filed. I don't think he will be prosecuted. A lot of that's because of the Supreme Court decision of Trump v. United States.
I don't think presidential immunity extends to manufacturing a plot to undermine the term of your successor, because that's precisely what happened. You said they failed at it. I'd argue they were very successful. We were talking about Russian collusion for 3-4 years. It completely undermined Donald Trump's first term. And there's a great many Americans to this day, and many Democrats, who believe Russia interfered with US elections, that they hacked the elections. That's what we were told. And it was entirely manufactured. The evidence they had said otherwise. And in that short period between Trump winning and his inauguration, they cooked up this plot army. I mean, how can that go without consequences? How can this be uncovered, exposed? It's good to have transparency, but surely the next step is people need to pay a price for this.
Yeah, look, I say it failed because A, Trump won the election, and B, it's been exposed as a hoax, right? Russia was a hoax. No, we shouldn't allow this to go unpunished, and there are a lot of people who I think should and will be punished for it. I'm just saying that from what I read and understand, Trump v. U.S. gives wide-ranging immunity, and this may, in fact, fall within that as well.
See, I disagree there, but we'll move on. We'll discuss this more, I'm sure, in the coming weeks. I'm interested in your reasoning for this data. We're seeing a mass exodus from states like California. Close to 700,000 people have left California since 2023. They've moved to states like Florida, Tennessee, Texas, Army. And some of the reasons, obviously, are economic, lower taxes, perhaps less crime, but other underlying issues that we're not detecting here. Why do you think the reason for this is? Same phenomenon is happening from New York, people leaving and going to those red states.
Look, when Mamdani and Newsom say, hey, where are they going to go? Yeah, bro. We see where they're going to go. They're going to go to Texas. They're going to go to Tennessee. They're going to go to Florida. And they have. Obviously, look, an advantage there's a lot of advantage of having money. Money is a good thing, right? One of the advantages, it gives you mobility. You could pick up and you can leave. You're not tied to one place. Look, I'll tell you a quick story about why people are leaving. Look, I own a property in Los Angeles. I'm a former Californian, Los Angelino. And I want the entire push for the city is for higher density in housing. They want to take single family homes and they want to convert them to apartment buildings. So of course I want to do that. It's more profitable for me to tear down the single family home that I rent and build an apartment building. but they make it so difficult for me to do what they want me to do because they want me to create higher density, but they don't want to make money. They want to put me through the ringer. They want to put me through 2 years of regulations and expense to do it. And guess what? I'm not doing it because it's not worth it.
Well, that is the problem. I mean, it's also a problem of a one-party state, isn't it? The Democrats just rule supreme across California, across the major cities, and their policies are radical. And all they've done, despite supposedly pushing for a greater equity, is to have a greater gap between the rich and poor. And it's not, I think, just the uber rich who are leaving states like California and New York, Army. I think a lot of people struggling to live, struggling to pay their bills are also looking elsewhere for a better life.
No question about it. Why would you want to, if you're just trying to get by and of course, you're in the middle class, right? Why are you going? How could you afford or want to spend $5,000 a month in rent in Los Angeles, right? And not even like in a great place in Los Angeles, when you can move to Texas and Houston and Dallas and literally pay $2,000 a month for the same place. It doesn't make sense. And of course, yes, you don't have to be rich to have mobility. You just have needed ability to find a job somewhere else. And thank God this country allows for people to move around when they want to. And they're finding themselves saving money and having a better quality of life, not just economically, but for quality of life in terms of crime, right? And in terms of dirt and homelessness. They're making that move because life is just easier and better in a lot of these red states.
Absolutely. And you know what? As long as they don't take their voting habits with them to these red states, it's all good. Let them go where they want to go. Horowitz, thank you so much for your time tonight.